The person who hasn't been able to speak to you, Craig's the person. Craig. Okay.
His words, Chris.
Murray was gonna send the message to. Hanging in there. Hasn't been the year I thought it would be. You know? We have jobs, but we kind of like, you know, they're posted, we're just not bringing people in.
Do you know if this is a brand new meeting?
Yeah.
I didn't know if you have any. Okay.
I wondered, is there some that are.
Yeah,
Productive
okay.
labor.
You may
You
know.
see my article?
Yeah.
I did.
Did more yard work than I could have too, but.
Good.
I think that's
So
enough.
you need to
But, yeah,
back up.
it's not,
I'm
I'm
not
doing it now.
supposed to be here. Why are you not here? I did an article on the DA.
I just wondered, I had never heard it before and didn't know.
Fine, Laura.
Okay, I call it
Yeah.
the real deal district attorney. And it had nothing to do with his press release. The funny thing is, I wrote it before the press release.
That's where it's at.
Beautiful day out there today.
Yeah, I didn't bring it. But, no, I was commenting about how much he's juggled the department, how much he's trying to focus on efficiency, and really it was based on the press conference here last
You can say
night.
Don, that
with
will
the
help.
officer. So that was really, it was just all articles,
You can say
yeah,
Don on that
focusing on
one.
that, but in the meantime, he's saying,
Yep.
you know, this guy, I mean, you know, but
Continue.
a whole case from 28 years ago.
Continue.
That is,
Good there.
that amazes.
Yep.
Okay, and then just leave that up.
Yep.
No,
But again, I get it, okay?
well, I mean, when it's directed like. People are able to say, yeah, that's what we did. That's true. It really starts to report today. But I have I worked it today.
You know,
Actually,
you know,
I really want to.
Oh, I thought it was.
Aaron had been.
I'm pretty, I'm happy, I can get back down to my roots.
To pass it along? Yeah, it was not updated.
So, Commissioner? Hi, Commissioner. Have they been sanitized?
It's my ultimate favorite, right there, Carmel.
Are you open? Yeah, they're open. What? Regular carpets open?
Yeah, they were open.
They're in, so they must be. Took my money.
Good, how are you?
No.
And that's.
There's a construction.
My toys went up.
So I said, listen, I think what we need to do is print one out.
How the D21?
Yeah.
No, it's not. Every week.
Well, I always give you guys one. I think it's that. I don't know. Thousands.
Pretty close. Ready?
Morning, if you please stand as I pray and for the Pledge of Allegiance also. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this glorious day. We know you are the Creator. We're blessed to see your creation and beauty each day. Father, guide our hearts, minds, in a spirit of fairness throughout this meeting. Provide us your wisdom so that our decisions will meet a successful outcome. We ask your blessings on the people we serve. Meet their needs, whether they be physical, spiritual, or financial. Lord, we ask you to continue to protect our community, spare us the brunt of this invisible enemy. We pray you will rid the world from this further destruction. We ask these things in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning.
Could we do roll call on the phone, please?
First up is Boston Daily.
Maya Toon, David Smith,
You got it.
who else?
Boston Daily.
Austin,
Jeff Hutchins, Public Safety.
hi Jeff. Anyone else? Chairman?
Okay. Convene the Commissioners' meeting at this time. Ask for approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Public comment this time on agenda items only. Hearing none?
We have no bid openings today, so we'll move to 2.0, Accounts Payable Cash Requirements Report. Is it Nikki Gottschall or Heather?
There is no.
Oh, that's right.
Do it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, they do have a blurb here they asked me to
You go ahead.
for you. So we're going to move to awards. We'll start with 3.1, Carl DeMai from IS, the IS director. Going to recognize him for his retirement today.
You going first? You want me to go?
You can go.
Oh, Matt. You go first, Matt.
Very unique circumstance to try to honor and recognize somebody for retirement, for a career, a long, noteworthy career and service to the county. And we're doing it in a remote fashion, kind of in tune with what Carl's been involved in his whole career. So we're utilizing Zoom. Unfortunately, we can't see everybody, but we have a number of folks that are logged in on Zoom. What I'd like to say is it's definitely been a privilege and an honor serving with you. And I thank you for all of your contributions and dedication to the county, to the residents, and to county operations through the improvements over the years in information services and the many changes that you brought forward. So, thank you very much, Carl. Congratulations.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Jerry.
I only wrote a small book. If this was Carl's, it would be a small trilogy. So, going to start off a little bit on the lighter side today. Most of us know that Carl was in the Navy. And believe it or not, he likes to tell stories more than once. So I've had a few dreams that I was actually in these stories. I've heard them so many times. I was in the Army, but it's really hard for me to believe that I could wake up in the middle of the ocean. But I did. One day I was detailed to take out the trash. While I was topside, collision alarms go off. Somebody throws the ship into full reverse, front of the ship's going up, the back of the ship's going down. I've got a death grip on the decking. I've got water lapping at my fingers. I wake up. We both made it. In another dream, I'm in a warmer climate. There's a freak snowstorm that comes through. My buddy's never seen snow before. I convince him to go for a car ride. I pull into an empty, snow-covered parking lot, and I proceed to do what any Pennsylvanian would do. I look at my buddy and I see the sheer look of terror on his face. He's screaming for me to stop and take him back to base. I keep going, of course. One last dream. This talks to Carl's technical prowess. While I was working for another company, I'm called upon to service an account that I've never serviced before, nor have I ever seen the equipment that I'm going to service. I'm met at the door and told that the boss wants to speak to me. While I'm waiting for the boss, I strike a pose on a piece of equipment. While I'm leaning on the equipment, the boss approaches and proceeds to ream me a new one because they're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars every hour that they're down. When he's done, I nicely ask the gentleman, "Where's the piece of equipment?" I was leaning on it. Today we congratulate Carl on his pending retirement this Friday and recognize his 20 years of service to Lycoming County. When Carl started with the county in March of 2000, what he found was disturbing. Back then, the county primarily ran on an AS400, an old green screen, almost as old as the guy back here. There were no PC standards, no forward thinking. Just two PC techs trying to hold the walls upright while the building collapsed around them. A document composed in one of many departments couldn't be read by the commissioners. A spreadsheet made in any department couldn't be opened by fiscal. All departments performed their own technology purchasing. There were computers and software packages of all makes and flavors. No one can collaborate with each other and costs were out of control. The county realized that a PC revolution was no longer avoidable and something needed to be changed. So, welcome Carl. After 2 weeks with the county, on one Friday afternoon, Carl went to Bob Coolidge, seated here in the back of the room, who was the IS director at the time. He passionately recapped what he had found in his short time with the county. Bob responded in a way that only Bob could by saying, "Now you know why you're here." Carl was extremely upset and ready to walk away. That weekend, he contemplated his future. He could certainly reverse course and go back to his previous employer. The environments he supported there nearly ran themselves. Getting the county on the right course was going to be very difficult, time-consuming, not just every day, but it would take several years to just get above water. But here's where I tell you about Carl's propensity to serve. If you picked up the flag and walked out the door in pursuit of God and country, Carl would be with you every step of the way, no matter the destination. Obviously, Carl chose to stay back in March of 2000. You got him to really open up. I'm certain that serving Lycoming County, its residents, his community, would be the driving factors behind his decision 20 years ago. Even Ronald Reagan believed that Carl worked for the government and he was here to help. I've spent the last 12 and a half years working for and with Carl. If he thought for a moment he was not leaving the county in good hands, we wouldn't be talking about his retirement today. He would continue to serve until someone was ready to take the reins. As members of this board and several boards before you have heard countless times from your peers across the state who have endured technology disasters in their counties and municipalities, Director Demai has ushered Lycoming County to where we are today with reductions in staff, mandatory budget cuts, and legacy departments that just like pencils and typewriters more than computers. Lycoming County has always been on the short list of truly successful counties across the state. For the last 20 years, Carl has had a key role in making Lycoming County what it is today. Do we have all the bells and whistles of larger counties? No, we do not. Do we have all the financial freedom to dump millions of dollars into flashy feel-good technology? No, we do not. IT leadership is about cutting edge. It's not about being cutting edge in every aspect. It's knowing the difference between where you can place your limited resources and where you should. The next generation of leadership has taken their place across the county, and in recent years, together, we'll continue to lead our community into the future, doing not what the Joneses are doing, but doing what is best for Lycoming County, continuing and improving upon the wisdom and framework that has been handed down from Carl and his generation of leadership.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Leslie.
I might recap a few things that Jerry has already said, but in my own words, so please bear with me. Oh, how time flies. Has it really been 20 years since Carl started working for Lycoming County? Now, even though he tells everyone that I'm the boss, because I've trained him so well, Mr. Coolidge hired him 20 years ago as the deputy director, and then he moved up to the director in 2014. As Jerry stated, when Carl started in March of 2020, or 2000, sorry, what a mess he walked into. At this time, we had 3 word processing packages, 4 different Adobe versions, data not being backed up. Every department was buying or building their own computers, just to name a few. It was nothing to walk into a department to find 3 Dells, 2 HPs, and 4 homegrown computers. It was an IT nightmare, to say the least. One of the first tasks Carl's agenda was to get servers up to date with Microsoft updates. When Carl came to us to let us know this was our next assignment, I'm sure the look on our faces said it all. I'm pretty sure Carl was on the phone with HR as soon as we left the room, when we said, no way. If we turn those servers off, they will never turn back on. Carl was mad as nails that day, but he demanded the work be done, and yep, just like we said, we were right, and the servers did not come back on. I told you so, I'm thinking to myself, to the new guy. Well, he didn't fire us, but he did make us do it. And this was just the start of the many great accomplishments that Carl brought to Lycoming County and the heartburn for the rest of us. Carl has overseen most everything that our department accomplished in the last 20 years, from organizing software licensing to keeping them up to date so the Microsoft police, just to name a few, didn't come and throw us all in jail. He started an IT budget so that all Lycoming County to use, and he brought the prison, RMS, DPS, PRC, the courthouse, and district justices all together to share data and resources. His staff received various achievements awards, Employee of the Quarters, Employees of the Years. This was just to name a few, since there's not enough time to list every project that he accomplished for Lycoming County. There is no doubt that he will be greatly missed by Lycoming County, vendors, CCAP, and every person he came in contact with over the years. But most of all, Carl, you'll be missed by me. You're not only my boss, but my best friend and my mentor. We fought, we yelled, and yes, you even made me cry. Not only because of the times that we laughed so hard for the tears that rolled down my face, but because of all the fun times we had. You did this all because you were just doing what great mentors do. You guided me down the road to the path we are today, and I hope I make you proud. I can't say enough for not giving up on me when I'm sure that you wanted to shake me and say what you were thinking. I don't think I will miss the late nights or early mornings with IT issues, but I will greatly miss you, and I wish you the best on your next new adventure. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl, are you hiding over there?
I'm hiding.
Okay.
Sorry, I gotta take the mask off. I don't know if I can follow. If anybody's interested, I'll be giving lessons in walking on water outside after the meeting. Only 3 easy payments of $19.95. Good morning, Commissioners. Let me start by saying thank you to the Commissioner, this Board of Commissioners, all county government elected officials and department heads currently serving. for the steps you've taken to protect all county staff while providing essential services to the public during this unprecedented time. Being immunocompromised and vulnerable, I'm certainly very thankful myself. I want to say hi to my granddaughter, children, siblings, and parents who are watching this YouTube video at this time. I thank Robert Coolidge, Andy Fulmer, Rebecca Burke, Dick Nasberg, and Joe Nyhart for having the intestinal fortitude to hire me and having the nerve to support me while we make drastic changes to the county's IT. I thank all boards of commissioners I have served under for their continued support of the Information Services Department, and I thank all elected officials and department heads for their cooperation as we have made IT improvements through the years. It has truly been a team effort. I especially thank the A-Team, all staff who have worked for me through the years. They have made me successful and have become family. Together we have accomplished many valuable technology improvements from the helter-skelter that Jerry and Leslie both described that existed here 20 years ago. I'm glad I stayed here at the county. Now the county has an IT infrastructure that ranks in the top 10 in the state. When you consider all the classic counties, how many other counties have far more money than we do, we're very well off in IT. I'm leaving you with an outstanding group of IT professionals. I know they will continue to serve the county well. I leave the county with a great appreciation and thanks to all county elected officials, department heads, and staff for their cooperation, dedication to excellence, and integrity. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity I've had to serve the residents of our community and make a meaningful difference with my life. Thank you.
Carl, they say you like to share stories. I'll share one with you. Lou Piniella played left field for the New York Yankees. Went on to be a manager in the major leagues. And if you went to a Yankees game and you saw him bat, they would start chanting Lou, Lou, throughout the stadium. Well, Lou shared a story back when he was a rookie. He was in the Yankee camp in Tampa, Florida. And he had long hair. I felt this story was fitting because we can't get haircuts nowadays. Reminded me of what you said in your opening here. So as Lou was in camp with his long hair, the new owner, George Steinbrenner, walked by him, and George never permitted facial hair or long hair if you played for the Yankees. So he said to him, "Hey kid, get a haircut." And Lou, because he was brass and a little cocky, young, he said to him, "Well, Jesus had long hair." He says, "What'd you say?" He says, "Well, Jesus had long hair." He says, "Come with me." Pulls him out of the line, and they're walking. They leave in the ballpark. He thinks he's fired. He thinks he's going to get released. They walk across the street. There's a swimming pool. He says, "Now, if you can walk across that water, I'll let you have long hair." You've been a great asset to our county, and we thank you for your service. You brought some great ideas to our county, and once again, it shows the dedication of county employees. You see how each department, how they truly care about each other, as you heard your co-workers' kind words, and they're going to dearly miss you. But you see the close relationships amongst our county employees, and as they work together to do the good of the county. So we thank you again for everything you've done.
You know, Carl, there's really nothing that can be more profound than when Leslie or Carl or Jerry gets up and talks about you as a mentor and a friend, and they're having dreams about you. They're literally taking the work home with them. But they're doing it in a spirit, from what they said, of learning and growing, not a spirit of oppression, but a spirit of being challenged. And for you to do that is a real gift that you gave them and you shared with us as recipients. Hard to believe we take so much for granted that we call up to fiscal and say, hey, can you get us a report? And 20 years ago, as we learned, not only were the software different, but they were running on different platforms and so forth. So we do thank you. I wasn't here 20 years ago, but I'm a recipient of what you did, and I thank you for doing it. And I hope you will enjoy your retirement.
You know, it was, what, 6 years ago that you took over the helm? And that guy, no, don't answer, Sam. Took over for Sam, right? And most people don't have a clue as to what ITIS, what they do. I know I'm one like that. And we just take it for granted. And when it doesn't work, we call the help desk. So, but we were always concerned that, oh my gosh, Sam's announcing his retirement. And what are we going to do? You know, and Sam came over and says, hey, you got a great guy here in Carl. That was the confidence that he had in you. And when we would go over to Donnie Waltman's for lunch, and I'd see you and Jerry there, and I'd sit down with you, and we'd talk, and first you'd always get back to computers. You know, and I'm probably standing there with glare over my face, smiling, and boy, I wish I knew what you're talking about. But you know, that's technology today. I'm not sure if it's good for us, because everybody's wearing glasses, looking at the screens, and it's a instantaneous, you know, we need it now. And I think there's a lot of pressure placed on people today because of that technology. But it works pretty effectively in Lycoming County. And that's due to, you know, your efforts and your leadership. We really appreciate it, Carl. And you will be missed. Mr. Coolidge, did you want to say anything?
After hearing how bad things were 20 years ago.
Bob, you can step up to the mic so we can hear you better, please. Good to see you.
Thank you, it's an honor. As we're going through these trials and tribulations right now, I know we're all faced with what is the hope? What is the hope of tomorrow? So we are here to extend our hope for Carl's successful and fantastic retirement, one that he richly reserves. And I have to say that Jerry and Leslie forgot that all the Connect closets were in the janitor's closets at the time, and they would come in the evening time and knock all our network down. We had a terrible communications with the prison, and I could go on and on for hours, but the important thing is that we recognize Carl, all that he brought to the table. It was really true about that Friday meeting when he come in and said, what did I get into? And I said, you're into it, buddy. So, Carl, congratulations. We appreciate all that you've done, and I look forward to some special informal moments with some of the old staff and with you. So, congratulations. Great job.
And Carl, I said the other day, the IT department's it's the central nervous system of the county. It goes into every department. I think back to when I started 30 plus years ago, we would handwrite our notes. First of all, what we did was we had a phone system where we spoke into the phone after a client left, and there was a person who, after it was recorded, they typed the case notes in our file for us. And then it got to the point where we had to handwrite our own notes in the file. And that was when the AS400 system was in. And eventually we were able to type our own notes right into the system, which was so much faster and eliminated all the duplication that was going on, plus the paper. So that was just our department alone. And every department you affect, and voters registration, voter services, and the election, there's just so many avenues that the prison, every department is intertwined with IT. So again, thank you for everything you guys have done. The phone system, Leslie, remember when we put the new phone system in? And the closets, and there was phone lines in the floor and the wall, and that was it.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, we had the old rotary dial phones, and so it's come a long way. So, thank you.
It certainly has. My last official act will be passing out voting machines Friday night and Saturday.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
You're welcome to volunteer on June 2nd.
Yeah. You want to man a poll?
I already did, and Forrest politely told me he didn't want me around. But, yeah, I have volunteered to help if they need me.
Okay.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you. And I believe there's a gift up here for you, so we'll bring it down to you.
We should.
Stand 6 feet apart.
Jerry,
Are you?
I'll take those right and take them.
Bob, you want to come up? Bob?
Yeah.
You're up, Bob. He wants one with you.
Come on up, Bob.
Yeah, you forgot to tell everybody that the whole building needed a new phone system here in the house.
Yeah, I know. I decided not to go down the project lane because the list was too long.
Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, I'm taking my chair.
You have to take that off the inventory list and you can send us a check.
Okay. Commissioner Marabito is going to read a proclamation for Mental Health Awareness Month.
Proclamation. Whereas mental health is part of overall health, and whereas mental health helps to sustain an individual's thought processes, relationships, productivity, and ability to adapt to change or face adversity. And whereas mental illness adversely affects those abilities and often is life-threatening in nature. And whereas 1 in 5 adults experiences mental health problems in any given year, and such problems can contribute to the onset of mental illness. And whereas approximately 1/2 of chronic mental illness begins by the age of 14, and 3/4 by age 24. And whereas 1 in 17 adults lives with serious mental illness, such as major depression, bipolar disorder, or schizophrenia. And whereas long delays, sometimes decades, often occur between the time symptoms first appear and when individuals get help. And whereas early identification and treatment can make a profound difference in successful management of mental illness and recovery. And whereas it's important to maintain mental health and learn the symptoms of mental illness in order to get help when it is needed. And whereas every citizen and community can make a difference in helping to end the silence and stigma that for too long has surrounded mental illness and discouraged people from getting help. And whereas public education and civic activities can encourage mental health and help improve the lives of individuals and families affected by mental illness. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County of Lycoming recognizes the month of May 2020 as Mental Health Awareness Month to increase public understanding of the importance of mental health and to promote identification and treatment of mental illnesses. Lycoming County Commissioner Scott L. Metzger, Chairman, Tony Armacera, Vice Chairman, Richard Marabito, Secretary. Mr. Chairman, I believe we have Mr. Hicklin with us today to speak.
Morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Jim Hicklin. I'm County Mental Health Director at the Joinder. First, I want to thank you all for taking time this morning to recognize May as Mental Health Awareness Month. Each year we take this opportunity not just to raise awareness about mental illness, to end the stigma associated with it, but to take time to celebrate the victories, that folks in our community have made in their recovery over mental illness. This year, more than ever, with the pandemic, the isolation, the challenges, the constant barrage of bad news that folks are hearing, it's more important than ever that folks know that maybe what they're experiencing is a natural response to a very unnatural situation, and that there's help available for folks, and where they can turn to get help. And it's been interesting. It's been a time of innovation as well. We've seen mental health providers coming up with new ways of providing their services, be it through telecommunications, use of more remote technology. So it's been a challenging time. It's been a time of growth as well. But I want to, again, thank you guys for taking the time to recognize May as Mental Health Awareness Month.
Over the past few years, I'm getting to that age where I'm looking at retirement. And how am I going to close it out? And we work hard our entire lives. We started out as paper boys, and then routes, and then helping pain, and we've done everything so that we became successful in life, and we're ready to retire, at least think about it. And I know when I saw the stock market going down, and I saw, the frustration and businesses closing, that it really had an effect on me, thinking, geez, I'm 3.5 years away of trying to enjoy the rest of my life, and will there be a retirement? Is Social Security secure? Is my pension secure? It puts a lot of stress on people that are about ready to retire. I can't even imagine of the people that are, and of the people that can't work anymore. So I want you all to know that there are services out there for people that are trying to deal with this mentally. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to seek for help. There's some great people in the county that can help you and turn things around. So I appreciate everything that you do for Lycoming County residents as well.
Thank you.
If you look at the history of mental illness in this country and the country's response to it, it's somewhat of a sad tale. It's a tale of, as we talked about, shame. Some of it is a tale of people not understanding, but a lot of it is a lack of education. I think if you look back to the early days, and it was actually William Penn who I believe started the whole idea of isolation, solitary. It was supposed to be a time for individuals to reflect, and yet we know that the two biggest contributors to suicide are isolation and economic fear of economic ruin, or even not being able to feed yourself. And then if you look and you see how we moved into times of putting people into institutions, which was supposed to be an attempt to get good help, but many of us who grew up in the age of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, or we saw the deinstitutionalization across America of places like Willowbrook on Long Island and psychiatric hospitals, huge psychiatric hospitals, housing 2,000 patients on locked wards. And how we saw that system didn't work in terms of getting people help or helping people live lives where they felt dignity and they had some sense. What it did, though, it gave us the ability to hide people, to put people away, so that we didn't have to deal with the uncomfort that we had when we dealt with people who might be experiencing mental illness. I'm hopeful that we're moving into an area now where we can properly fund community services. We need funding for community services. We've closed the institutions, so we no longer have people with mental health issues in institutions for the most part. We still have some, but we need the community funding. We need, at all levels of government, federal, state, and local, we need to fund community places. Because truth be told, if you listen to the statistics that we read, it can happen to any of us or anyone in our family. And in some ways, as we get older and some of us experience dementia or other situations, we begin to see how, every day that we live with good mental health is a day that we should be thankful for, just like every day we live with good physical health when we don't have major physical problems that prevent us from functioning. So I want to thank you and the providers, and I know Willie Weber's here, and I don't know whether he wants to speak, Mr. Chairman, but I want to thank you and the providers who aren't here, who take the time to listen, and we can all do that. Commissioner Massera has spoken on numerous occasions about how if you come across someone during the day that doesn't seem to be having a good day or whatever, take time. He's talked about the gentleman who almost jumped off the bridge, who said, I just wanted someone to take the time. So if we can remember that and remember that we're helping ourselves when we help others, but I want to thank you all for doing that.
Thank you.
One of my closest friends since 5th grade took his life about 20 years ago. He was very, very successful. He was the person everybody went to with their problems. And within a 6-month period, his success evaporated, and he lost everything. And a year later, we had a remembrance at his gravesite. And I'll never forget the pastor saying, I want everybody here to look out over the hillside and look at the houses down below and look at the beautiful homes. They look beautiful from the outside, but we don't know what's going on in the inside. And she said, so there may be heartache and despair and abuse and frustration, financial despair, whatever's going on in that household. We don't know that, but we see the beautiful outside. And she challenged us and asked us to do every day to reach out to people, whether it be a hello, a smile, a pay it forward, a small gesture of kindness. And I never forgot that. There isn't a day doesn't go by I don't think of my friends. And it's hard because it affects the people that they leave behind, family and friends. So I encourage people that are out there that are struggling in today's world. We all get down. We all have issues. We've had 3 suicides directly related to COVID. And they left notes. And unfortunately, they couldn't face the pain any longer. And that's the tragedy of it. So we ask anyone out there to please reach out. Our county is so rich in resources, and there's help out there. There's always help out there. And there's people that will be willing to help. Never be too proud or think that there's a stigma behind it. There is not. There is not, because everybody's been there. And we'll help that person pick their bootstraps up and get back to life that they're smiling and happy. And everybody suffers those anxieties and fears. So thank you for what you do in your agencies, and it's so much needed, especially in today's world that's so full of negativity and fear and anxiety.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Willie, you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I stopped by for Carl's.
Oh, okay.
All
right.
if I can't say anything, you know, you remember last year when we did this, we talked about education. I think Commissioner Maravilla, you said that. We do a phenomenal job here in Lycoming County with our mental health and education. And currently, you're going to see a number of billboards that are going to be put throughout Lycoming and Clinton County talking about suicide prevention and that sort of thing. So again, those resources are out there. They're there. There's people willing 24/7 to come out and do what they need to do that. And if you recall, last year we also talked about our crisis intervention team training, that we're training law enforcement, first responders in Lycoming County too. So we're very fortunate. We do an incredible job in Lycoming County with mental health.
Yeah, the crisis intervention team. Mr. Weber, by the way, is the chair of the advisory committee to the joinder. The crisis intervention training is really phenomenal because we see, and it's happening all over the country, but we should be proud of the fact that we've put a lot of officers through it here in this county. But what it does is it helps officers see problems that in the past they might have seen as disorderly conduct as acting out of issues of mental health and responding not necessarily with arrest, but with trying to get people into programs and de-escalation of situations.
In our great local branch of Nomney with Carol Sides and with the work they do also. So thank you to them.
Yeah, they do a wonderful job.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready? Commissioner Musser has a proclamation to read to pay tribute to our pool workers.
Good morning. Whereas the general primary is scheduled to occur throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania on June 2nd, 2020, and whereas the conduct of the primary and elections is essential to the success of an American government of the people, by the people, for the people, and whereas the conduct of primaries and elections is a critical public service that must continue to function even during adverse circumstances. And whereas the poll workers of Lycoming County who serve at the county's 81 voting precincts in every primary and election are our family, friends, neighbors, and fellow citizens. And whereas poll workers of Lycoming County went above and beyond the call of duty to contribute to their communities and serve the public interest by serving in June 2nd, 2020 general primary. Now therefore the Board of Commissioners of Lycoming County pays tribute to our poll workers who kept the wheels of democracy turning in their precincts, in their county, the entire Commonwealth, by serving in the June 2nd, 2020 general primary. We commend their knowledge, dedication, and passion. We thank them for their extraordinary efforts during this difficult time. We ask any county resident who knows a poll worker to thank them for their service. Signed and sealed this 26th day of May 2020. Chairman Metzger, Vice Chairman Musser, and Secretary Maravilla.
Forrest was going to try to log in. Are you there, Forrest?
Yes, I managed to call in, and I actually got in toward the end of Carl's recognition, so if it's okay, I would just say thanks to Carl for his service. He may not be there, but elections have gotten more technologically complicated over the last few years, and IS has always been there for us, and Carl has always been there for us, and I'm very appreciative of that. But the proclamation there before you, it is recognizing our poll workers. It's issued in advance, so hopefully they don't just take the proclamation and run. We still want them to work on election day. But we are appreciative of all of the county's poll workers. Voter services, we can do everything we can to get the applications processed and organize the election and get all the logistics worked out. But when the polls open at 7 a.m., it's the poll workers who are making it happen. It's about 400, sometimes more than that, 400 people in our 81 precincts who are making democracy work during those 13 hours that the polls are open. It's a long day. It's challenging, even under the best of circumstances, let alone the circumstances we're facing right now. And so there's really never been a better time than, in a presidential year with the extra challenges we're facing, to express to the poll workers all over the county our gratitude for what they've done in the past, for what they're going to do on June 2nd, and just to reiterate to the entire county, to the whole community, that please express your gratitude to them for what they do. Please be respectful and understanding of the challenges they're facing on June 2nd. If you have to wait in a long line, just remember that they're from your community. They're there to help, and they're working a long day, and they're doing great work. So we appreciate it.
Thank you, Forrest.
Okay, we'll move to 7.0. Maya Toon has an informational item.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
The county will be soliciting proposals for a Lake County multi-jurisdictional multi-hazard mitigation plan update. If you recall, the county was awarded a $60,000 pre-disaster mitigation grant to assist the county in implementing this update. $45,000 is funded by FEMA, and then $50,000 must be funded by the county as a match.
Okay.
We'll move to action items. 8.1, Maya Toon.
Sorry, hold on, I'm trying to pull it up and see which item it is first, sorry.
Medical
The
assistance.
medical assistance, okay. Medical assistance grant, this is the 2021 Medical Assistance Transportation Program Grant Agreement and the assurance of compliance letter with the Department of Human Services. The total allocation of funds for the program is typically determined at a later time, and staff is provided an estimated actual expense for the program. Typically what happens, they determine what that is, and then once they get all of the numbers, Human Services will then come back with an allocation based on actual need.
Okay, any discussion on this action item with the compliance letter? Hearing none, can I have a motion to accept?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
8.2, Maya Toon.
Seeking approval to submit a coronavirus emergency supplemental funding program grant application to the U.S. Department of Justice through the Bureau of Justice Assistance. It's in the amount of $58,008. This grant is to prevent, prepare for, and respond to the coronavirus.
Any discussion on this item? A motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. So carried.
8.3, Roxanne Greco, update to policy number 303.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Roxanne.
We're asking for a revision to policy 303, pooled leave, long-term sick leave. Under 4A, it's an option available for pooled leave, and we're asking to change the verbiage to effective January 1, 2020. All full-time employees who terminate employment will receive payment for any accrued unused pooled leave time.
So this would be time that they actually,
Their vacation.
yeah, they actually earned.
Right.
Yes, okay. Any discussion on this action item?
No, this is, I think you said it all, Mr. Chairman. This is time that they've earned as part of their compensation.
Yes. Have a motion to approve?
I'll move.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
8.4, Maya Toon's going to cover the next two. So 8.4, approved purchase with Logis System for annual CAD interface software license. Maya, you were going to cover for Beth Baylor, correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Go ahead.
Actually, I'm going two items.
Okay.
They do go hand in hand.
Okay.
So just to briefly describe it as what Eileen stated, there is a approval required for purchase with Logisys for our annual CAD interface software, license support and maintenance. That's in the amount of $22,100. And there's also a purchase for a priority dispatch for fire and police software license support and maintenance over a 5-year period in the amount of $166,539. To explain further, with the requirement of PEMA under Act 12 training, Q&A, and Q&I standards, each 911 communication center in the state is required to implement emergency medical, police, and fire dispatch guidelines. In Lycoming County, we've been utilizing Priority Dispatch as the vendor for our emergency medical dispatch since 1992. With the current PEMA requirements that are now in the process of obtaining the police and fire dispatch and enforcement, we are required to actually purchase these items in order to get the rest of the information and additional software and interface that's required. So all of these items, in essence, are 100% funded by FEMA and through the 50% shared services funding for our region. These funds are actually allocated for large projects that FEMA is requiring 911 centers to implement that we typically do not have necessary funding to cover. The fiduciary for our region is the Central Emergency Network. But again, in order to implement the additional pieces of the Priority Dispatch program, which are required, we just need the additional interface from Logisys and as well as an additional license from COVA.
Okay, any discussion on either action item 8.4 or 8.5? Hearing none, I have a motion to accept both action items.
I'll move to approve the contracts with Logis and Priority Dispatch.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
8.6, Jerry Kennedy, approve agreement with Melio Consulting for VMware license renewal.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Jerry.
For you is a CoStar's purchase of additional storage capacity for $52,420.12 to add an additional 60 terabytes to our storage at DPS and the courthouse campus for the purpose of recording video security footage.
So Jerry, give the taxpayers, when you're talking about the gigabytes, what does that mean? I mean, and $52,000 is a lot of money, and to have certain things in storage, how much storage does that mean?
That we are estimating will get us about 30 days of video storage at each location.
30 days of video storage. And then what happens?
The way the video system works is it will cycle. So as new video comes on after the pool is full, old video falls off the back.
Great. And how long can we expect for that to last?
At this point in time, we do not have any plans to expand beyond this for the video storage. The cameras that we have will be placed into this storage pool, and what we get is what we get. We're confident that we have enough to satisfy those who do it.
As we move into telecommunications through our court system to reduce, the traffic of the sheriffs and whatnot, what does that mean for the system? And I'm assuming that we have to store that information for a while, or no?
Normal day-to-day storage is not stored long-term. Should something happen outside the confines or inside the confines of our building where something needs to be retained, we would do so and archive that off into CD, USB, depending on the size of the file. Most things happen within a period of a couple minutes, and those are short little blurbs.
What were the two locations again, PRC and?
Warehouse.
The LISEC complex and the downtown complex here with our 3 buildings.
When's the last time we had this updated?
We have switched to a different video system. For comparison, a 17 terabyte single-use device that would last 3 years runs about $20,000 from the manufacturer of the video system. They sell their own hardware, their own storage hardware. So if we went to get 60 terabytes from the manufacturer, we're talking 20,000 times. So we're talking additional money beyond what we're spending here, and this is going to last. It doesn't have a life cycle such as the hardware does from the manufacturer.
And by us doing this today, it's a savings of $9,721.
We are leveraging another relationship with another vendor that sells the same hardware, and they came in with an aggressive offer of $9,700 less than our previous quote.
So the terabyte is 1,000 gigabytes, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the gigabyte is
1,000 megabytes.
1,000 megabytes. So for the public, if your computer is like a 30 gigabyte, you can imagine what we're able to do, but it enables us to hold the video for 30 days.
Correct. Most home computers nowadays are anywhere from 500 gig, 1 terabyte, maybe 2 terabyte off the shelf. And we're adding 60 terabytes for just video storage.
Any further questions or discussion? Motion to approve.
I move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried. Thank you, Jerry.
8.7, Jason York's amendment to the agreement with Green Machine Sales LLC.
Good morning.
Morning, Jason.
Commissioners, our first agenda item that I have with you is an agreement, an amendment to the agreement with Green Machine Sales LLC. Green Machine is, again, the company that manufactures our single sorting equipment, and they from time to time on an as-needed basis come in, tune up the equipment if we need it, replace some spare parts or something, if it's like the stars that sort the fiber or stuff like that. So we're just simply updating their labor rates that need upgrade. We had a 5% on the 1% on the overtime. Process technician and computer electrical work also, those are new labor rates. Just keeping these things up. These are, again, as needed basis. We don't use them a lot, maybe once or twice a year. Or more or less, the Green Machine guys do a lot of their stuff online with our sorting eyes and stuff, but even then it's not that much. So.
Hey, Jason, can you give us an update on the recycling?
Yes, sir. Staff was out Saturday till noon trying to keep things out of storage from being a mess. I had staff working yesterday for 4 hours trying to get things livable. And then this morning the staff was out pretty early and got everything cleaned up. So we still have 5 drop-off sites in Lycoming County, Williamsport, South Williamsport, Burlesock, Hughesville, and Jersey Shore. As soon as the county of Lycoming and our surrounding counties all go green, we won't have to deal with the storage confinement issue that we have. But we are resuming curbside for our 3 mandated municipalities starting June 8th, that Monday. So we are actively using Facebook and social media to try to show pictures of do's and don'ts, current reminders of the facility, and so forth.
Any questions I'm receiving from the public is about the other drop-off sites, when would they return to normal activities?
Jason?
Did you hear that? Did you hear me? Okay, questions I'm receiving from the public is when the other drop-off sites, the other townships and boroughs would be having their boxes dropped off at their sites.
Well, again, the biggest thing is once we no longer have to store the material for 3 days. Once we all look at it, is once the county goes green, we proceed, move things out. The one goal is to get our plastic boxes modifications done. We are closing up the holes, the openings, so that we can accept playpens and sandboxes and pool covers and bags. Again, we're stressing that folks need to get the materials out of the bags. That gives us a lot more volume and capacity in the boxes. But the public will need to do their part. They will need to get the materials out of the bags. They will need to break down the boxes and cardboard containers. That's not going away. Those are practices that have been used and implemented across the state by other drop-offs for years, and we're just finally getting around to do it. It gives us greater box capacity, denser loads, and it keeps it cleaner. So I would say once we get the boxes modified, we can start rolling them out after things turn green. Right now, while we're in the yellow stage, we're going to stay with 5 sites and do curbside, and we're also still, the haulers will still be able to do single street. But that takes up our entire tent through the rotation. So once we go green, sir, then we'll start moving the drop-off boxes back out to the location and open up more sites. It's a long answer to it, sir, but I apologize for that. There's just so many parts of the equation that we're trying to bring together.
Okay.
I think the public should be aware of this, is that this is convenient for our public. So when you're visiting a drop-off and you see someone violating what Jason's talking about, putting in, or leaving cardboard boxes without breaking it down, or garbage bags of the plastic, don't call us. Go directly to them and say, listen, you're going to ruin it for all. Don't be afraid to confront those people and say, listen, if you continue down this path, we're going to lose it for everybody. And nobody wants their garbage blowing all over the place, especially if you live around those drop-off centers. So please comply with what Jason's trying to do. He's done a great job, and hopefully we can continue it.
Yeah, and plastic swimming pools and liners and that's not recyclable items. And people taking.
Door too, sir. Let's not forget the screen door. We got a screen door.
Screen door.
For the site yesterday.
And you had a mattress shoved into one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it's just incredible that people would be that inconsiderate.
I think the public needs to understand that the recycling centers, drop-off sites, aren't a substitute for trash hauling. I mean, if you have trash, obviously a mattress is trash. It's not recycling.
And
we got to follow that.
In the letters to the editor, I read where a constituent literally thought that you could throw your garbage in with the recycling and it got sorted. Okay, that's not the case. You cannot throw your waste in with the recycling and think they're going to break it open. And that's not how it works.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate the support.
Thank you. Any further discussion on action item 8.7?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
8.8, Jason Yorks, amendment to agreement with Penn Power Group to update labor and travel rates for maintenance services.
Yes, Commissioners, again, this is the same basis. This is for Penn Power up the Creek Road. Now, we use these. These are the shop that does our work on our Cummins engines, which one of the agenda items we're discussing. But they do work on the Cummins engine power plants for either stationary equipment, if we have it, or our trucks that have Cummins engines.
I'll move to.
Jason, I have a quick question. It says travel cost per mile, $2.25 per mile.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain that?
Well, these aren't vehicles, these are like a heavy truck, sir.
Okay.
Trained usually on them, a welder, like we call them a maintenance or a shop truck. This isn't, they're not jumping in a car. So that's where they charge additional for the vehicles like that. And we don't typically use that. We usually take everything to them. But that's just updating their pricing. But that's why they charge us, sir. That's not a pickup or a car. They bring a full shop truck in there. It has a crane, has welding. They can do anything and everything on site.
Okay. I have a motion.
I move.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 8.9, Jason Yorks, approved purchase for one new Mack roll-off truck.
Commissioners, this is a purchase of one new Mack roll-off truck with Susquehanna Motor Company. It also has the price is including the body upfit for the roll-off system. So Susquehanna Motor is providing the truck, chassis, then Eagle Truck Equipment is installing the roll-off package that goes on top of the chassis for a total of $118,683. Both organizations, all the purchases will be through the CoStarz, PA CoStarz purchasing program. We are trading in a 2002 International truck with trade-in value of $500. This was a budgeted line item for 2020. We had $200,000 budgeted, and we are coming way under that with the full upgrade.
Okay. All right, we're looking at a different number. It's on their agenda.
Well, sir, I guess, I'm sorry, sir, the 118,683 is added the 54,700 for a total of 173,393. My apologies.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So I'm assuming that the 202 is in bad shape? How many miles are on it? What?
Yeah, it's a international hook lift truck that's pretty much apart. I don't have it at my fingertips miles on it, but we were pretty glad to get the $6,500 on it. We're trying to upgrade our site to larger boxes. That's one of the goals we're doing here. The single axle trucks to the bigger one.
So the truck is 118, and then the lift and everything on the back is the 54?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's why they're. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, have a motion.
I move.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried.
8.10, Jason Yorks, approved the purchase of one 330-gallon tote.
Yes, Commissioners. C10 is a 330-gallon tote, or 3,960 pounds of carbonate. It is a liquid that this first off is a 1-year supply for us. This liquid gets metered and pumped into our leachate. And as the leachate is traveling through our pipes and getting pumped to West Branch Regional Authority, the carbonate keeps the leachate from building deposits on the pipes and pumps and so forth. So it's best to buy it as this, as a 330-gallon tote. Then we hook the tote up in our pump house, the little pump and monitor, and just meters it in with the leachate as we pump it year-round. It's a chemical that they use in landfills to soften and try to inhibit buildup or leachate on the pipes. That's the amount of $10,056.20.
That'll keep them from becoming corroded and.
Yes, sir. What happens is it creates a serious scale, and even as we use this, we still have to put what we call a peg, and we'll peg the lines any sewer plant knows you have to either jet the lines, a water jet, or a pig system and push it through. But this keeps it softer and keeps it go up.
Okay. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, kind of motion.
I'll move to approve. I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 8.11, Jason Yorks, approve invoice for engine repairs to a 2009 screen machine Spider.
Yes, Commissioners, this is one of the, I said we would talk about it. So we have a 2009 screen plant with a Cummins, 4-cylinder Cummins engine. Approximately 3 weeks ago, the connecting rod went through the side of the engine block. So the screen plant's been an excellent machine for us, and we are this purchase is $15,363. What we're purchasing is just a whole nother engine block, and have it put on the screen plant. We see no need to replace the whole screen plant. We just wanted to replace the heartbeat of it, I should say, the engine. But I would bring back one of the questions. Last week, I believe it was, I had you approve an amendment. We were adding mobile oil. And this is one of the questions I've asked my staff about is, it's not normal for connecting rod to go through an engine block. So that's why we think we've been having some low viscosity with cheaper oil. And right here, I think, unfortunately, is one of those results that's hurt it. So we're going back to the better oil, and we're going to put a new engine block in that screen.
That was gonna be my question, why that happened, because it's not normal.
No, sir, it's not normal. Those are what we call bad days.
Okay. Any further questions, discussion? Motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. So carried. Thank you, Jason.
Commissioners, I appreciate it today, and I guess real quick, I'd like to put in my 2 cents. I want to say how much RMS appreciates Carl and the IS department. Carl's done a great job for us. We've got a lot of challenges in RMS with the transfer station, and I guess you would call the blocks of mountain terrain doesn't lend itself well to our communication stuff. So Carl, Jerry, and the guys do a great job. Leslie, but I do want to thank Carl for his years of service to the department. He's going to be missed.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep, have a good day.
8.12, Austin Daly approves second amendment to agreement with the city of Williamsport.
Morning, Austin.
Good morning, Commissioners. For 8.12, I am seeking approval for an amendment to the subrecipient agreement between the county and the city of Williamsport for the Road Art Neighborhood Improvement Rental Rehab program that they've been running. The grant stems from the 2015 AIR Fund that we received. The amendment proposes to extend the agreement length from the previous expiration date of June 30th, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. The city is working to expend the remaining funds. As of their January semi-annual report, they had expended about 80,000 of it. It's just a matter of going through the process, and then obviously with the pandemic, it has slowed things down during the beginning of the typical construction period.
Austin, Maya, are you still on the phone call? Austin, do you know if the contractor of that Road Art Neighborhood Improvement fulfilled his obligation?
With what regard?
In build out?
For the Road Art Memorial Home?
Yes.
Or,
Yes.
That I'm not certain of, sir. I wasn't on staff with that program.
And maybe you could check into it, because
Yeah.
there was something that the developer was, I think, supposed to do, that there was a question as to whether it was going to be done, and need to just track it down.
Yeah, I can ask Jenny. when I see her next. I know she was on staff for that.
By the way, of the 200, you said 80,000 of the 200,000 for the 2015 funds were spent. Are the other 120,000 account, do they have projects for it yet, or are they still working on getting projects?
Last I had heard, they were still soliciting homeowners and property owners for the program, for both this one and 8.13.
Okay, I have a motion to accept the resolution 930.
I'll move. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried.
8.13, Austin Daly.
Yep, so this is seeking approval for an amendment to the subrecipient agreement between the county and the city for the historic property rehab program. This stems from the 2015 fair funds. The amendment proposes to extend the agreement length from 5/31/2020 to, on the agenda it says 5/31/2021, but the city actually mailed it back with June 30th, 2021. I think them on the same timeline. This program has not spent funds yet. They are trying to, because they're working with such a specific set of guidelines, it has to be a historic home and they have to have 30% of the funds go to income qualified units. It's a little difficult. They want to spend that first 30% down before they have to try and backtrack and make up for that later on. So our office has been working with Mary Regency from the city to solicit and locate eligible households. We provided a large data set to them that has property owners so that they can do a mass mailing, and allowing them to spend out an additional year will allow us to work with them a little more closely to try and spend these funds down.
Okay, thank you. A motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried.
Thank you, Commissioner.
8.14, Shannon Rossman. Approve loan documents with West Branch Regional Authority.
Morning, Shannon.
Morning, Commissioners. We have the West Branch Regional Authority's Improvement Guarantee Agreement, and we also have their promissory note. And this is for the loan to them to extend the sewer line along the Route 15 corridor around the 5415 area where the sheets are. Improvement for economic development really needs public. So this will that and will be paid back then.
Any questions? Motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Just so the public
Carried.
understands,
Thank you.
this is going to allow this to proceed at a much quicker rate.
Oh, yes.
Because otherwise they would be trying to get a Penvest loan, which takes a long time. They're going to pay interest at 1.75%. They have ability to pay back the loan because its security is their ability as an authority to affect rates. But it's also in the long run going to help everybody in the county because we'll get economic development down in that area.
Right.
So,
Which has already started.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
already started. So it's a good project.
Yeah, the Penvest process is difficult.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Commissioner comment?
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I'm a little frustrated by us staying in the yellow, seeing the numbers, following the science. It's frustrating. There's so much information out there that we read on a daily, it makes you question what's going on with the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the 10th Amendment of our Constitution. And if you notice, I I'm not wearing a mask right now. And I'm one of those that had cancer and a heart attack. And what I'm reading about the mask, you know, that the cloth mask are so they protect the other people, but, you know, if somebody sneezes on you, it goes straight through that. They're not tight. You start to see more people wearing it, not covering their nose, because some of the articles that we're reading, that by doing so, you're breathing in your toxins right into your brain, and it's not good for you. So you don't know who to believe, but I can believe this, that articles, and there's so many journals out there, said 50% of the people that have died were 85 and older. 49% of the people that died were 65 to 84.
Their life's still valuable.
Well, I understand that, man. Okay, and then 1%, I'm following the facts, 1% of the ones that tested, okay, 1% came into the other range, of which 70% of them that tested positive were asymptomatic. That means they didn't even know they had it. Okay, that's alarming, that you violate 3 of our amendments to this Constitution, and he continues to do so, and business owners, the homes, use the resources for where it should be at. And it's just becoming very frustrating. And I don't like it, and I think we need to do something about this soon. I believe we're being punished for something that we should not be.
Is now an opportunity?
Yeah, for the
Okay.
Commissioner's
Okay.
comment, you'll have an opportunity to speak publicly in a few minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yep.
So, one of the things that then I think we're gonna get to today is the whole question of whether we can do something to help the folks at Manor Care. And I see some people here in the audience who are probably gonna speak on it, but, and I'm gonna let them, but I think that it's important for us to recognize that there are some concrete steps that we can take to help the residents who are in Manor Care. And Manor Care is owned by a company out of Ohio called ProMedica, and there's an interesting article where their own director of medicine held a press conference. I don't know if the folks here have the article with them. Maybe they can talk about it. But it was amazing that they found that something like 50% of either their patients and/or employees were asymptomatic, did not show any symptoms for coronavirus, but had it. And so part of what I believe in terms of wearing them, I'm not sure there's any one silver bullet, Commissioner Mercier, that takes it. I wear the mask so that if I'm asymptomatic, I don't cough, and especially I've said this before during the allergy season, I'm coughing, so that if I do cough, I don't give it to somebody else. But I think that I hope we can have a good discussion under the public comment about what we can do concretely to help the folks at Manor Care, and see if we can't do something which unfortunately hasn't been done by the state and the federal government. So I'll wait and see when we have that conversation, but because I see folks here.
Last week I had a very long, detailed statement, and I'll stand by those words. I was very upset to see us stay yellow on Friday. We have passed all the metrics set down by the state. Every metric that was given to us, we have passed it. The 50 per 100,000, the study out of Pittsburgh, everything. We have gone up 46 cases in the last 2 weeks since we were yellow. That's below the 50. The death rate has gone up, unfortunately, and that's due to the nursing home, which is west of us. It's very unfortunate that's going on. But as you saw Dr. Levine's press conference the other day, that question was specifically asked of her, and she quickly referred to that's a private facility. Well, it might be a private facility, but it's still Department of Health's responsibility. And our commissioners have been working on this. I worked directly with a resident whose mother's in that facility. He reached out to us. I responded back to him within hours. We've had several conversations on the phone, and he's just as frustrated as the next person. And he thanked us for our assistance the best we could do. Commissioner Mirabito has been given a lead from the commissioners to try to work on this. He has done so. We have not ignored it. Specifically, Commissioner Massar and myself. We have been talking to Commissioner Mirabito on this on a regular basis. Representative Everett has sent out letters to the Department of Health. And the most recent one, he had said to Dr. Levine, when are you going to respond to me? Dr. Levine finally did send somebody up last Tuesday, I believe it was, to finally take action. So this has not fallen on deaf ears in the county or state. Senator Yaw, Senator Yaw and Representative Whelan has also been in contact with Representative Everett working on this. They're very upset about the situation west of us and very upset about us not being able to go green. There's absolutely no reason why we cannot be in the green phase. No justifiable reason whatsoever. The people in this county did what they needed to do to flatten the curve. The reason why we were closed was to not overwhelm the medical health system. UPMC has now opened all their services to the public. They have 30 nursing facilities throughout the region. They don't have one COVID case in their region, in their nursing facilities. Not one. So they took the measures. I spoke to representative from Evan in Union County, who also should be green. Spoke to them on Friday. They have no one in their ICU. No one. I commend Lycoming College for taking the steps to reopen in the fall. I think it's a wise move on their behalf. My son attended a university down in Lynchburg, Virginia, who has 16,000 students on campus. Their dean sent them home for 2 weeks, brought them back. They just completed their semester over the last 2 months. They had taken all the safety precautions while they were on campus with their restaurants. They have several restaurants on campus with takeouts, did what they needed to do. Not one student nor faculty had COVID over the past 2 months. Not one. And that's a major university in Lynchburg, Virginia. So I commend Lycoming for taking a step forward and getting back on track. We can do this safely, we can do this responsibly. 600 doctors, not 600 businessmen, 600 doctors sent a letter to President Trump last week saying the mass casualty of us continuing to stay in a lockdown is going to be far worse than the deaths from corona. People that aren't being screened for heart conditions, cancers, they're going to find out now that they have it. People that are afraid to go to the hospital, they're going to put off things, are going to have heart attacks, are going to be issues. They listed all kinds of things. What we're doing to our kids, the mental health problems. The suicide rate's going up. The addiction's going up. Staying in your house, locked in there for a substantial period of time, is not helping you. It's breaking down your immune system as described by these 600 doctors that sent President Trump a letter and put their name on that letter. I've been saying for a month now, we need a safer approach. We need to protect the vulnerable, protect the at-risk people, put our resources there, and open back up and build our immune systems back up and get back to a way of life before we have nothing left. Because as that gentleman described to me last week, who has contacted over 100 businesses in this area, this goes on 2 more months, there will be 1 out of every 3 businesses closed. If it goes into the fall, it'll be 1 out of every 2 businesses closed. And again, poverty will kill more people than anything. And that's what our county is going to turn into, and our state's going to turn into. This governor does not listen to the people. He does not listen to businesses. He has not listened to the healthcare system. He hasn't contacted our county. Reach out to us. Ask us whether we should reopen like you did Center County. We didn't receive a phone call, neither one of us. All 3 of us. Our hospital system, call them. Do you think you ought to reopen Lycoming County? Nothing. Nothing at all.
Because they divided.
Because you know why? We spoke our mind. We spoke up for the people in this county. Garth Everett spoke for the people in this county. I spoke for the people in this county. As the chairman, Commissioner Massar, Garth Everett, Ryan Gardner spoke for the people of this county. And I'll continue to speak for the people of this county because it's the right thing to do. We can do this safe and we can do it cautiously, but we have to do it for everybody. If you choose to stay in your house, you mean stay in your house. This is a country founded on freedoms, not restrictions. And for one person in Harrisburg to have that kind of authority, it's wrong.
Tyrannical.
It's wrong.
Let me just jump back to the nursing home, because the nursing home is a private home, and it is the source of our biggest cases, and it is probably the place where if it jumps from the nursing home into the public, we have the greatest risk of the hotspot becoming greater. So, the 3 of us have been texting over the weekend. We've been in touch with the Center for Independent Living, and although it's a private home, we can, and we've also been in touch, and the center has been with some of the local hotel owners. This has happened in other states where they've been able to take, and I'm going to let you folks get into this in detail, but they've let people come out of the nursing homes under the direction of licensed entities. In other words, it's not just, hey, go pick some up at the nursing home, bring them somewhere. These are licensed entities by the Department of Human Services and Department of Health that place people in nursing homes with care, the same level of care they would get if they were in the nursing home, and they arrange all the care. The county doesn't do any of that. All the county needs to do is initially put forth some funds, in this case about $250,000, put forth some funds that will enable the process to get started, okay? And then we're going to fight like hell to various places to get reimbursement. But by doing this, what we do is, first of all, we save lives, because we get people who are sometimes being put 2 to a room. We get them into a single room. And the hotel owner who we've spoken to is willing to do this. Obviously, no one else is going to be at this hotel. The hotel is only going to have the people there. And it enables them to get the care that they need. And also, these are rights that they have under federal and state law. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll let them describe.
And I have no issue with helping people. I spoke to the Department of Health director yesterday. He says there's a lot of things in place. The waivers need to be signed. We need to have the hotel in place, but we need to have a plan.
Yeah. Well,
we need to have a plan.
That's what we're trying to do.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
May I?
Okay. Yes.
Before we discuss this, I had one question.
You got to go to the mic.
Yes, and please introduce yourself for the record.
Yes.
Thank you.
Karen Koch, Center for Independent Living, Roads to Freedom, and resident of Lycoming County. Before we discuss the situation at Manor Care, Eileen, I believe it was item 8.2, Maya Toon was talking about emergency funds when you were going so fast. I
Okay.
didn't get a chance. There was a mention of like $50-some thousand. It was for something COVID relief, but I didn't catch the details. If you could please clarify that for me.
Emergency supplemental funding, CESF.
The county has allocated $50,000 for any kind of funds that would be county related with our employees, services, that supplies, things like that regarding the county.
Okay.
But
No,
no,
it's something
Chairman,
full.
this is referring to a grant that the coronavirus, either the first federal bill divided among counties. This county's allocation was $58,000 over.
Okay, I was just looking for
No,
clarification, you were talking kind of fast, but yes, we're all frustrated. I think everybody here in this room, I see business owners, people who want to reestablish the economy, get things rolling again. I understand the impact of it. When this meeting first started out, Commissioner Metzger, you said a prayer, and one of the things that you mentioned was guidance to get people to spiritual, physical, and financial needs, that they be met for people. And we're talking about individuals that really have nobody fighting for their side. Nursing home transition is not new. Pennsylvania has waivers in it. It's very simple. You go to your doctor says, I'm eligible to get care in a nursing home. They call it a waiver because you waive going to that facility. You receive the care in your home. It is a fact. You can look at any nursing home documents. We can share documents with you. When your doctor says, Mr. Metzger, may I use you for example? You've had some kind of an accident or something like that. God forbid you get hurt. You need to be hospitalized. You are told by your physician, Mr. Metzger, you need to go to a nursing facility for 8 weeks maybe, do a little bit of rehab. You need 24-hour care. A fact in a nursing home is nursing homes are reimbursed for 24-hour care when they provide 2.7 hours of actual care. If you are in a nursing home bed, that is the amount of actual time that you will get with a paid person, whether it's a doctor, a nurse's aide. This is not numbers that Roads to Freedom is making up. This is well-documented facts. Those services can be provided in the community and for much, much less expense. When Medicaid is paying 24-hour care to a nursing home, thousands of dollars every month, yet I could have my needs met living in my own home and having an attendant come in for maybe 20, 25 hours a week. We are asking for financial support, as Councilman Mirabito said, $250,000. I want to first thank you, Councilman Mirabito, for coming last Wednesday to Manor Care. And I also want to refer back, Mr. Metzger, again to something you spoke about. You spoke about attending the horrific services for a friend who had ended their own life. And you talked about the pastor saying about how, you can look out in that valley and you can see those homes and they're really pretty on the outside, but you have no idea what's going on the inside. It's what nursing homes are. Yes, they're pretty, and you walk in that front entrance and they smell nice. You have no idea what's going on inside them. Well, right now we do know what's going on inside them, and I'm sure if I said to any one of you there's an elementary school over there and kids are dying in it every day, and a kid that hasn't died in that facility yet is probably going to risk significant, great risk of dying in that facility. I do not believe for 1 second that the four of you would not go to assist. So that is what we are asking. We have worked very, very hard at the Center for Independent Living to get FEMA resources in place. That FEMA money would cover the cost of hotels. Those hotels would in addition be providing 3 meals a day. When you talk about stimulating the economy, you're putting people back to work. You're putting maids back to work, custodial people back to work. You're putting restaurant people back to work because they are going to be there caring for these people, providing meals to make sure that those people have what is necessary. Emergency management begins at a local level. And we talk about government, and I believe, this is my opinion, that a lot of you are frustrated by this higher up authority that is reaching in and telling you how you must operate your county. Emergency management starts at home, and that is why we are asking for your assistance. Like I said, housing is essentially covered, the cost of that. Meals are essentially covered. Like I said, nursing home transition isn't new. UPMC has nursing home transition components built into their managed care plans. For everybody who's aware that, Medicaid quit being a fee-for-service plan in Pennsylvania in our region in Lycoming County effective January 1st. So people have a choice of 3 managed care insurance companies for their provider. Every single one of those companies does nursing home transition. Like I said, this isn't something new. This isn't something crazy that we've pulled out of the woodwork. These are programs that will assist people to get out of this facility. If I'm in a room and I'm not COVID positive and my roommate is, and that is the situation in some of these rooms, what are my chances of surviving that? So I thank you very much for your time and attention to this matter.
Thank you.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is
Morning.
Jody Bainey. I work at the Center for Independent Living, also a registered nurse in the county. So as Karen stated, what we're trying to do is essentially put in place an expedited nursing home transition option for the residents of Jersey Shore Manor Care. Again, housing is secured, food is secured. The piece that we have to secure is the caregiver, which we do. We not only are a DHS approved company, and we are contracting with others. So basically what that would look like is the resident would have one caregiver for the 2-week quarantine period. So rather than having 15, 20 nurses exposed, we would have one. So that's our way of eliminating the risk and not putting any other members of the community at risk. They would have one caregiver who is trained, whether it's a nurse or a personal care attendant in the hotel. So again, part of our plan would be, whether they are COVID positive or COVID negative, if they want to leave the nursing home, they have that right. If you haven't followed over the weekend, more people became positive who were negative because they were placed at risk, whether it be by an employee or another resident who was asymptomatic, much like you talked about. Our way of ensuring is to bring them to the secure location with the proper equipment, with the proper supplies, with the proper support, and then at that point give them the opportunity, they can return to the nursing home. And in this meantime, as we're pulling people out, it would give the nursing home time to clean the facility, put the proper infection control policies and procedures in place, and get a handle in that community before more residents die. 17 members of our community have died. Every day that's increasing up there. And I can tell you currently, the family members that call us daily asking for help. How can you help save my grandmother? How can you help save my grandfather, my father, my mother? Husband, really. And again, another concern, these members today alone on public and social media, in one of the Jersey Shore sites, a member said he had not spoken to his mother since March because his mother's hard of hearing. So the nurses are doing the communicating for that resident. So imagine if that was your grandmother, your father, whatever, family member, loved one, that you can't communicate with because these residents are isolated and locked away. Commissioner Marabito can speak to the fact that their windows open this much. That's all the air that they're allowed to have or get. They're isolated to nothing bigger than a jail cell. Not allowed to have access to the phone because they could be, passing. Again, they have rights just like all of us. So what we're asking is you to review the plan, offer your input and financially back us so we can get the members out and we can get this crisis stopped so everybody can get back to normal life, so we can open. Because the reality is, as long as those numbers increase at Manor Care, as they are, the governor is never going to go green. So let's do something so we can stop the spread. What they're doing isn't working, and it's not because of the facility, it's because of the system and the things that are in place. Again, Dr. Levine, as you stated, said we could send in the National Guard if we have to. They don't want to. They don't want to stop it. So we need to take action, and we need to protect these members of our community. They are citizens of our county, and they pay a substantial amount of money to do, to be up there. So we have to provide the care for them and give them that. Again, there may be residents that don't want to leave. There may be, let's get the ones out that do, get them safe, so they aren't another number, so they don't increase, so they don't die. They have a right to live just like you and I.
So can I ask you a couple questions?
Absolutely.
If my mother was there, can I go get her? Can I pull her out of that facility?
Do you mean legally, or I'm not?
Yeah,
sure.
I'm worried that my mother's gonna contract it and die. Can I, as the son, go up there and take her out?
Or do you want, I don't want to. It depends. You can go in. You have that right. You can take her out. You can take her out and say,
No, you can't.
Well,
The governor stopped. They're not
now wait a
allowing
minute.
anybody in.
Now wait. They're allowing people out with the medical facility's approval.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to get that doctor at the facility to approve and say, we think it's okay for you to take your mother home, da, 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 da. But they will only hold that bed for your mother, is it 30 days?
15 to 30.
So if you take your mother out,
But you have to understand, taking your mother out is different from what they're doing.
We're gonna
Here,
provide the same
we're not
level of
taking
care.
people out of care. Here,
We're
we
still
are
gonna give them
transferring people from one form of skilled
From a
nursing
congregate
care
setting
to another.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference. These are,
So it's
they are
basically
licensed
nursing
by
home
the state.
transition. Nursing
It's
home
nursing home
transition.
transition, yeah.
Nursing home transition takes a person from an institution and gives them the same level of care, better quality of care,
More dignity.
cost effective in the
much
community.
more cost effective.
So again,
Okay.
supported by.
So my question is, how many people aren't infected? How many
that
people?
facility?
Yeah.
They're all infected.
All right.
There's
How
like
many?
9 people that aren't.
All right.
Their policy
How many
is they're
people?
testing
How many
negative
people
people
want to
once a
leave? Okay, because you're asking for a specific amount of money. Okay. I want to see a plan on how many people this affects, how many people we can help. Plus, at the same time, what's the plan to do with that money to help those people?
It's to
Okay.
pay for the staffing. Are you asking what the purpose?
I want to know how many people we're talking. We talking one person? We talking 10 people? We talking 20 people?
The cost is about, it's more than this, but the estimated cost is $269 a day.
Right. I see no plan.
Well, okay. The-
Bring us a plan so we can look at it, so we can help them.
Wait, $269
communicate.
a day, does that include the care and the hotel or wherever they're going?
That is the care.
That is
That's
the care.
just
That's
the
a
care.
living caregiver.
That's a live-in person.
That's
like
the
Jim
first
said.
time I've heard that number.
So it'd be $300, let's just say somebody gave us a room for $50 or $70. So we're gonna 300 to 325, maybe, I don't know, but that's what it would cost a person.
And again, housing is covered under the FEMA.
Right. So do you have an idea of how many people you think would
As
use
of
your
right
services?
now, we have about 10 referrals of people
Okay.
who want out.
10.
Okay, that's today. That's without us
Right.
being able to go up there and talk to the
And this is the
residents
first time this has been shared with us.
Okay. We're not given the right to go up there and ask the residents if they want to leave. Obviously, they have it locked down. And residents aren't told that they have to be there. People are often placed in institutional care because they think that's the only option.
A lot of your hospitals own your nursing homes. So
And
when
again,
you have surgery and you leave a
piggyback off of what you
hospital,
said about
you're
UPMC
getting
owning.
expedited right to one of their facilities. They
Right.
don't tell you about home and community-based funds.
Right, I mean,
And
the
one of
whole, the thing is, I hope, I don't want us to get sidetracked on the
No.
whole thing about the nursing home industry in the United States.
Yeah,
Because it's complicated, but the bottom line is this, that these people have a legal right to get their skilled care in a
Elsewhere.
different facility.
If they want it.
If they want it, and they have a legal right to be in a private room, which we can provide, meaning
Correct.
all of us, we can provide by taking this hotel. And we, by doing that, at the very least, can get people out of sharing rooms who, one may be positive, the other one may be asymptomatic.
I have
And-
a family's concern, and this will open your eyes just a little bit more back why we need to do this if we ever have intentions of going green. And in particular, residents' family reached out to us and said, you know, our husband, our father, he's positive. He got positive by being in a multi-person room, so on and so forth. However, He had complications, was moved to the hospital, cleared to go back to Manor Care. However, Manor Care's plan is to place him back with the COVID positive patients. So how is he going to become negative?
That's going on
Does he have
everywhere.
a-
It's wrong.
Right.
It's wrong.
It is. So,
Happened
we
in New
can't-
York, terrible.
We can't isolate him, so we can't stick him with the negative because he'll infect the negative people.
Mhm.
We can't stick him, you know, if we stick him back with the positive, he doesn't, we're not even giving him a chance
I
to
agree.
live.
I agree.
So, the hospital is housing him. We are prepared to go forward with our plan today and have him out tomorrow. This is going to happen with or without your support, but we would hope that you would want to be part of it
Mhm.
because we are setting the groundwork for what needs to happen in other counties, Lackawanna and Luzerne, who are faced with the same issues that we are faced. And again, we can help educate and inform these commissioners and up the chain that this needs to happen. This is the
Happening in
only way. This is the only
Ohio.
way, A, to save lives, and B, get our communities open back up. At the end of the day, that's what
And a
has to
win-win
happen.
for everybody.
Yeah.
One of the things, Commissioner Massari, that you mentioned earlier when you were saying about how doctors have shared opinions, and one of the statements that you made is that these physicians are saying that being isolated in a room for long periods of time is not good. That's exactly what they're doing. They've taken these individuals that live in these facilities, they're locking them in their rooms. Rick, I know you saw the people looking out of their windows. They're not allowed to come out in the hallway or socialize. They have no contact with their family. These aren't all a bunch of 95, and God knows, I'm not saying that it would be okay if it was people with dementia, with Alzheimer's. These are people that are your age, that just happen to have had surgery at a really, really bad time and needed to go in for 4 weeks to get rehabilitation. And now you're probably, good chance that you're not gonna come out the same way you went in.
I think it's important for us to understand that we're not just sending these off to some hotel.
Yeah, it's
By
not,
some
yeah,
people in
hey,
the
you're out,
county.
yeah.
No, well, no, in other words, by you coming.
No, it's with structure, with support,
Well, it's
with
also
same
with a
level.
licensed entity.
Yes.
Well, Friday,
With
Friday
the
we
same
had a
level of
hotel,
care.
Friday we had a hotel owner contact us in the afternoon with an email, very
Mm-hmm.
gracious enough to say that he'd be willing to assist.
Correct.
All right, and which you were privy to that,
We
so
spoke with you, I believe.
we can just have that discussion, but we also have to have a, like I said, this is the first I heard how much it costs per day, how many people.
Well,
That's
why
part of
we're
a
coming
plan.
here, Right,
So-
so
Okay.
let's
So
further.
here's the
a
only
meeting.
thing with all due respect, right? Whenever we allocate money, I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. We're loaning $1.5 million at 1.75, we just voted on it to the West Branch Regional Authority. We don't know the details of the plan. We know that they are going to build out water lines, right? The Center for Independent Living is not asking for a blank check. They have facts and figures on how much it costs. I shared one, but it's not the, it's the component of care, and then the food and the housing is different. So we can definitely get from them some documents and license. What we need to do is figure out logistically if we think this is the right thing to do. And secondly, how can we do this? Because today's a public meeting. We'd have to vote on this in a public meeting. And I actually wonder whether we can, our emergency management people, whether they have the authority to say to Manor Care, guess what? We want the ability to get in that home and ask people if they want to.
Jay David, are you still on the phone?
I am, yeah.
Okay, Jay, if we declare an emergency, or, we do not have to necessarily go through a public meeting, correct?
That is correct. There is a process, Commissioner Sarah, for
We're under that
taking action and then on very short notice and handling it that way. Or alternatively, you could approve it today and ratify it on some other occasion. But there is a specific procedure for an
Yes.
emergency approval.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if you had your 10 people or whatever, we're talking about 80 days that you could keep them into care with 10 people, all right? And housing, and I just roughed that out. Okay. Here's a problem that I see no problem with trying to help fund, okay? Because we're trying to help fund the business communities. We're trying to help as much as we can with our Act 13 dollars as possible. And if we have to shift it because it's allowable uses, and we'll shift it out of one that's allowable and put that in there and use their taxpayers' money. My issue is this: $2.3 trillion was given out to this whatever. And our government, our state government right now has billions.
So help support us.
Why are you hitting a roadblock here at the state? Because we're not guaranteed to get our money back.
A lot
I'll
of
tell
the
you what
money.
I think it is, Commissioner. And I'm totally speculating, but I think there's two things. They don't want to send the National Guard into one home. They're going to have to send them into every home across the state. And
Why?
Why? Because as soon as they send them into a home in Philadelphia, we're going to demand that they send them into the home in Jersey Shore.
They already have.
Well,
They did out by Pittsburgh.
But here's
But I'm
the
okay
other
if it's a hot spot.
No, I know, but here's the other thing. I think that what we have is we have the authority at the local level to do something, you know? And it may mean advancing the funds, but we have the ability to get it
The state
back.
will be held accountable.
And here's the other
Sure.
thing. Quite frankly, at the end of the day, if we don't get the money back, I think we have a
You saved a life.
responsibility.
I mean,
It's a life.
Wait,
you
let me
saved a
finish.
life. How can you
I
put
think
a
we have a
monetary value
responsibility
on a life?
to do what we can do to save these lives.
So
Can
a
you put
point
a
that was
number
just
on your-
brought up is when you go into a facility, and I'm not gonna say to recuperate, okay, but to go into the facility, I'm assuming that they're taking your social security.
Correct.
Well, what's gonna happen with that?
Correct.
What?
While I'm on a leave
It
from
shouldn't
the
go to the,
facility?
it shouldn't go to the home.
Well, no, while I'm on a leave, if I'm a resident in that facility and I say, okay, I would like to get out of this facility for 2 weeks, the facility will still continue to
Yeah,
keep that
paid.
saves their bed. That's how the program is set up.
But
That
I know,
money is
and
gonna stay
Commissioner,
with the
that's
nursing
why I
home.
said the problems with the nursing home industry and the funding of our healthcare is like so complicated that I think we need to just try to laser focus. It is, it's
Yeah,
a
we
sad
would-
state of affairs.
We'd love to say, hey, we're taking this person out for 2 weeks so that funding needs to follow them, which is what you would think would happen, but no, that is not the
And
case,
some
sir.
of
It
them
stays
will.
at the facility.
The ones that we absolutely know are not going back, like for instance, the one that we have in a local hospital, the wife is saying, he's coming home, he needs to be quarantined, so I'm not at risk, so we can get him negative and get him back. And then we are expediting nursing home transition services to put him in a ramp, to get him a hospital bed and get the durable medical equipment that
Stuff
he
in his
needs,
home.
and get him care in the home,
His
transferred
own home.
from, yes.
Yeah.
So him in particular, no, the
So
hospital
it's their
will
intention
end.
to quarantine people for 14 days and then release them back either to the home or to have them go home to a family relative or someone who's a
Or their own apartment.
guardian. Or
Some of
Some
them-
people
are
already have their own
perfectly
home.
capable and able.
So you're looking at 14-day per person.
14 days is that
Minimum.
number,
That's
because
the
that's the
quarantine
quarantine
number.
Yeah.
Right.
number.
So it might be a little longer.
But if that facility,
Right.
after 14
We're not
days,
gonna
is
release them
still
into an
escalating,
unsafe. We're
I
not
don't-
gonna do what the nursing homes do as far as unsafe discharge. So when they leave the hospital, we want to ensure that either they are going back to the community, or if they choose, again, we also support
about
consumer
choice, yeah.
choice. If they choose to go back to to a care home, whether it be Jersey Shore or any other in the state of Pennsylvania, maybe they want to go back to the nursing home, but they don't want to go to that nursing home because of the COVID. We would get them negative because.
So take your 14, I don't mean to interrupt you, but take your 14-day window, find out how much it is per day, with the hotel and your cost, per resident, give us a rough figure, and that gives us a start.
Okay.
Well,
Will do.
plus the allocation of the funds.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, but I'm saying.
Shall
I'm
we
just gonna
communicate
hand
that?
over 200
Continue?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you communicating that with you, Rick?
You know what, get a number to us
Yeah,
of,
we pay them
Okay.
when
Yep.
when
of,
they.
on a piece of
Right,
paper
exactly.
with, here are the plans. Oh, okay.
Just having
So,
discussion and.
So the intent is, if you can bring us those numbers, we can pay the services as they're provided. We don't have to pay the money up
They
front.
just want to
We can pay them as they're provided.
Oh, we'll bill,
Plan and the
we'll
number
bill
of
as their
people.
actual,
Okay.
absolutely. We just wanted an allotment. The request that we
Okay.
asked was an allotment so that we can go and give these people choices. Right now, they have no choice, and when you ask about numbers, we're getting referrals, but these are referrals from people who have found out because they thankfully have somebody outside. So those inside who are deaf or otherwise unable to communicate, which is many, we don't know. And so
Okay.
just to make it clear, we coordinated with Dan Klingerman, with other hotel owners.
Yeah.
We've got that expense, the hotels, the meals, we have all that worked out with FEMA and or otherwise. It's the care for the individuals in the meantime while we're trying to get them on waiver services, for living in the community rather than going back in the facility if that's their choice.
So Karen-
the
One of the
important thing
things-
is that, even besides the fact that it's the right thing to do, it's a practical thing for us to do to get to the green.
Correct.
Because
Yeah, if
the only
numbers are
place
still
that's
growing.
holding this county back from the green.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it gonna be a vaccine? That'll be the
No, no,
next.
no, no.
Excuse
no,
me,
Commissioner, what I'm
take
saying
that
is
all out.
the numbers keep going up there in that care.
Listen,
Yeah.
Otherwise, we don't have the numbers.
this is far deeper.
I just have
This
one
is far
question.
deeper
Yeah.
than the nursing home, why we're not in green. Okay?
I have one question. You had earlier, you had spoken with someone on the phone and you were asking about the county being able to declare an emergency and make a decision without me. Would that get access
They've
to the
already
resident?
declared it.
Well,
Like,
that's,
Well,
yeah,
no,
no,
hang
that's what
hang
we're
on.
trying to
We're talking
figure out.
about for the
So-
county
so-
to be able
so
to go
Karen,
up to Manor Care, go in and say,
Please
we
do
would
this,
like to
please do
have.
this afternoon for us. Go back, find out how many residents.
No, I'm
We
not talking
can't,
about
we
that.
No, sir,
can't,
I know.
Scott.
Can I just jump in here?
Yes.
What they're asking for is whether the whether the emergency we declared allows the county to go into the nursing home. We don't think
So
so,
then-
but
No.
this
We
is
have-
what
we
we
have
can do.
information.
Karen, this
Karen.
is what we can do. We can send a letter I'll send a letter to the president of ProMedica, and I'll call them on the phone and say, listen, here's the deal. Our county has
Every
agreed
family.
to transition people under state law. They're allowed to transition people to a private facility. We want you to agree to supervise access for us to speak to people with disabilities who are deaf,
Can you hear, solicitor?
who cannot otherwise have access. And I think they will agree. I think the only reason I say that is because reading the press release, they're not hiding anything. They talked about the fact that they've got a problem on their hands that they don't know how to solve,
when
and I
you're
think they
talking-
want our help.
When you're talking about the numbers of how many people may want to transition, that is my point, is
We need your
that
help
we
to
need
get
to
that.
get information to these people, because like Jody was saying, you know, we were up there last Wednesday night, Commissioner Mirabito was there, people were calling us Thursday
Just from
morning
the
saying,
few that
wow,
we
we
read."
never had a clue. So when you ask Commissioner Metzger about how many people we're looking at, we really don't know. I mean, it's very possible if we had access. One of the things, because of HIPAA, when we went to that vigil that night, there was a list outside of residents inside that people were going to be praying for. So that gave us some names to reach out to. But ultimately, to find out how many people want to transition from that facility, we need to make sure that those people know that it's an option. that
Okay,
they
so
have
today we'll send a letter.
Yeah.
And we'll get that step process started.
Can I ask, would you
You
share
have to step to
that?
the podium and say who you are for the record. Okay, Mr. Sharman, let her speak first, please. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Misty Dion. I'm the CEO for Roads to Freedom Center for Independent Living. I'm also the president for the Pennsylvania Council on Independent Living, and I'm part of a statewide and nationwide ADAPT group that are activists working to save people and free them from this institutional bias. We know this existed before COVID. Our issue, we've lifted the heavy, we've done the heavy lifting, we've moved mountains to make this program happen. When Jody says we're going to do this with or without you, I want you to know that the staff that we have are so dedicated. Even though they're certified, they could get paid a lot more. They're doing this on volunteer time so that they don't have to read another name in the paper. I just want you to know that, because we're not here asking you to pay our staff. We're doing this above and beyond what we're making. We're just asking you to help offset the expenses that we're already eating. We've worked out everything else that we can. It's just the care.
Housing is covered,
Yep.
food is covered.
So the last point I want to say is, if you are willing, and we'll write that letter, if you can think of a way to help, either go with us, give us a letter, give us some sort of backing so that we can go there and actually offer without me having to argue with them to get
I
it.
want to also emphasize to you, you weren't here.
I was watching.
Okay, you were watching?
I ran in my heels.
So you saw what we said.
Yep.
We have diligently been working on trying to get this resolved.
As have we,
Okay.
and I understand that. I'm not trying to
All right.
make light of your work, but what I'm saying is when you say you hadn't heard of any of this, you've been reading in the newspaper.
We haven't heard a plan to come to us about a figure, about how much it is
I
per
see.
day, about how many people you're gonna help.
So here's the
Okay, we
thing.
need to, even when people come and ask for money, they have a plan. This is what we wanna do, this is what we wanna help, this
And
is the number of
typically we
people we're gonna
would.
help. I have no
Commissioner
problems helping, but we need to know.
We're gonna get that plan.
I just want to point
Thank you.
out, typically we would, this is an unprecedented emergency where lives have been falling, and so.
we're well aware of that.
Okay, well then, we've
We
also
share your
been working.
compassion, and we
So we've also
share your
been-
concern.
So we've also been working, I've been putting in 14-hour days at best, trying to have 3 kids at home that I'm schooling, and everything else as a single person trying to do this, right? While I'm trying to also save lives in a nearby nursing facility that's trapped and on fire. So please forgive me for not being able to give you the type of work I typically produce. But I did send an email, and I laid out most of the program there. The only thing that I missed was the fact that it was how much per day, and that I'm asking you for a specific amount. We don't know what that amount is. I just am asking that you put 250,000 of the counties, you gave 200,000 for salons. Did they give you a good proposal? I hope so, because we're talking about lives, not haircuts. That's all I'm saying, and it's with
Look,
respect.
You guys are to be commended for what you're doing, and Commissioner Metzger, Ms. Hare, didn't mean it that way. What they're
Well, I'm
saying
just
is-
saying, I mean,
I
I'm
understand.
under a lot.
No, I know, we're all under a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
And-
I
and
know.
you- And it's true, you people have kids at home, they're trying to homeschool.
And
They've
run
got
an
spouses
agency
who are
and
trying to work at home. We got single parents who are trying to homeschool, and you're at the same time trying to do this, so.
Okay, it's time for our next public, or.
John
public comment.
Sharman.
Yes.
We thank you.
Thank you.
I was also the prayer vigil, and I live within a block of the home up there. Ran into a lady last Thursday night after comes by her house. She has a husband up there, and I was asking about it, and she'd come to tears and that. But something has to be done up there. There are a lot of people in my neighborhood and that are, I will put it mildly, very worried about what's happening up here in Jersey Shore and what could. But something has to be done in there. When ManorCare was first put in, it was designed for two patients per room. I have been in that place. There have been more than 3 people in the halls and everything else. And as far as I'm concerned, I live within a block of it. If I come to the age that I've got to go someplace, it sure isn't going to be there. That place is terrible, okay? And it's been run terrible. But you've been doing all this with these people here, all this negotiation back and forth. Why not everybody pick a place and meet and sit down and work everything out? And everybody come to a plan mutually here so that we aren't asking questions back and forth. But I have known 4 people that have died up there, my wife and I, out of the 18 that have been there. One was my neighbor. And like I said, I've been very concerned about it for a long time. There was this prayer vigil on last Wednesday night, but there was a group of people there, about 30, with no mask on or anything, little kids in front of them. And it wasn't done in a safe manner. It was supposed to be done in a safe manner. It wasn't. I stayed for 5 minutes. I got out of there because, you know, I'm of the age, I'm very susceptible right now. And we've talked about suicides, all this with it, because of COVID outside pressures. But believe me, there are a lot of people that have relatives in there. They're going through a hell of a lot of suffering too. And I don't care what it would cost. It's time you take the $250,000 and you do something and get it done for the sake of the community of Jersey Shore, plus the residents in there and the people who have and the relatives of the people in there. Because this is a great mental strain on everybody. But like I said, the lady I talked to, she come to tears because she hasn't been able to get in to see hers. But why not just everybody sit in a room, get it done.
So
I
after
think
14,
we have it. We
after,
have it.
yeah,
We-
but
we've
after,
just gotta get us the number.
but after 14 days, right? After 14 days or whatever, you say they can leave, right? Where are they gonna go?
Well, that's,
I
Commissioner,
have
that's
all-
where they have two options.
This
They
is
mobilize.
what I'm saying, please.
into the wild. We're not saying.
Well, I know, but they still, but it's still gonna cost money.
Well,
They're not
no,
gonna
no,
send them back to the home,
Hold on,
right?
can I actually have factual information, I can back anything I say up here.
Please, will you people all sit down
No,
and have a,
John,
have a
we
meeting?
are. We are. We
I know,
are right
but-
now. It's better
Yeah,
to
I
get
know,
it done
but
and get
this,
it.
yeah, but you
Sure, answer the question
want
so we
to,
can
you want
do
to
it.
plan?
Yeah.
You want to plan and all this? Then everybody sit down and do it, then this is none of this going back and forth. You sit down and get a plan and get it going, because the $250,000, it has to get going. I have two businesses within 5 mile of me, and one in Jersey Shore. I walk in there, they've got no protection or anything like that, and they aren't allowing the mask or anything. I take my business elsewhere with it. But the bottom line is this is a time bomb in Jersey Shore. And I read online with everything about 2 weeks ago when the state released what was finally in nursing homes. There were 56 pages there. And I think the state is overwhelmed with what they can do concerning the list of nursing homes. Some of them up in Lackawanna County, one was as high as 40 deaths with it. You know, so I think the state is overwhelmed.
You can
Well,
see it
listen.
on the Department of Health website. Misty, can you just
I'm
address
sorry,
this?
Fly.
No, you're right. Thank you for your support.
Look, this is what, the only reason I want to get this resolved is because we gotta do something quick about this. You need to get us on a piece of paper.
I saw you Saturday.
If we move X number of patients. But Misty, explain to the commissioners that this is done all the time, and after the quarantine period is over, the person has the
We're
choice.
working with
They
the
can go to a
department.
nursing home, they can go to home care.
All right, we'll take a look at these this afternoon. Rick will be in touch with you later today. And is there any other comments?
The only other comment I'd like to make is, on that paper, there's some investigations that were done by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid on that particular facility. They've been known for the things that have been brought out
This has
today.
been a time bomb up there for a long time.
Okay, one person speaking at a
We're
time,
also
please.
trying to help evacuate our friends in those other counties, because we cover 30 counties.
Mhm.
So in this emergency, if you could be somewhat lenient with us in what you're asking us to provide in order to get this done, we would appreciate it. We're having to do this for multiple facilities. And the bottom line is, it's how much per day?
269 is the cost.
$269 per day. So the sooner we get in there and know who all wants to come out, that's your answer.
Well, I'm assuming that these are for Lycoming County residents.
Correct.
That's
Yeah,
only
money
for
is
my
not-
company.
yeah.
That's why I'm
That's the
saying,
care portion of
Commissioner,
Main Street.
that's why I'm saying I have to do this for 30 other, well, that's only a lot, you know, every county in the 30
Okay.
counties that we do, every facility in those we have to do that
Okay.
is having an issue.
All right, thank you. Is there any comments on the internet? Jerry?
I had none.
None? Hearing none, we are adjourned. There will be no public meeting next week due to the primary. We will meet again on,
Do we want to do a meeting on Thursday? Did we need to do that now? Oh, no, okay.
We're good. We're good.
Sorry, Jeremy.
so the next meeting, the public meeting will be the work session on Tuesday, June 9th, here at 10 a.m. in the Commissioners Boardroom. Thank you.
Thank you folks for coming. We're gonna try to get this nailed down.